Sometimes I feel sad, not because it's rainy or dark, because of the animals. Animals that we will never see again. They used to run, fly, swim, but now they are all gone.
A woolly mammoth, a majestic giant of the Ice Age, covered in thick fur and armed with long, curved tusks. Once they walked slowly and proudly across endless snowy plains, part of a cold, untouched world. But then humans came, and hunting, hunger, and the changing climate wiped them from the earth. Today we dream of bringing the mammoth back, growing an embryo inside an Indian elephant to make the ancient beast live again.
But it's impossible because mammoths need their icy frozen home, and that world is no more.
The Dodo, a plump, clumsy bird from the island of Mauritius. Long ago, it was just a simple pigeon that could fly. But on that quiet island, with food, water, and no danger, it forgot how to fly. It no longer needed to. But then humans arrived, bringing hunger, fire, and new enemies. Soon, the Dodo was gone.
It trusted the world too much, and the world took it away.
The moa, a giant bird from New Zealand, taller than a human. At that time, New Zealand had no land predators, and the forests were nearly untouched. For centuries, the moa wandered through the dense forests, unafraid of threats, living in a world without danger. But then humans arrived. With hunting and fire, they destroyed this peaceful world. In a short time, these forest giants vanished from the earth.
Even the calmest world collapses with the arrival of humans.
The Tasmanian tiger, a mysterious animal from Australia, resembling a dog with stripes like a zebra and a long, stiff tail. For centuries, the Tasmanian tiger lived in the wild, part of a world almost untouched by humans. But when people arrived with hunting, traps, and habitat destruction, that world vanished.
The last Tasmanian tiger died in a zoo, and the species was lost forever.
A Steller sea cow, a giant calm sea creature, slow and peaceful. It drifted through the cold coastal waters, feeding on seaweed, unaware of any danger. Discovered in the 18th century, it vanished in just 27 years. People killed it for its meat and fat. It was big, slow, and could not escape.
Even the gentlest giant cannot survive alongside humans.
The Carolina parrot was a bright green bird with a red head and a yellow tail, screaming and flying through the forests and the rivers of Eastern America. It was noisy and social, gathering in flocks and feeding on fruits, nuts, and seeds. For centuries, the parrot lived in its world, among the trees and rivers, almost undisturbed by humans. But when people arrived with hunting and forest clearing, that world vanished.
The birds were killed by people for their bright feathers.
The passenger pigeon. Huge flocks of these birds once filled the skies of America. They gathered in the millions, flying over forests and fields, creating a noisy, living cloud that could block out the sun. For centuries, the pigeons lived in their world, feeding on seeds and fruits, almost untouched by humans. They built nests, raised their young, and traveled hundreds of kilometers, remaining part of the wild nature. But when people arrived, with hunting and forest clearing, their world vanished.
The last passenger pigeon died in a zoo, and the species vanished forever.
The great auk, a fat flightless bird, somewhat like a penguin. They lived on rocky coasts and laid their eggs right on the beaches, living for centuries in their world, almost untouched by humans. Auk built nests, hatched their chicks, and gathered in large colonies, remaining part of the wild nature. People killed them for meat and feathers.
Soon there were no gray auks left, and the species was lost forever.
Aurochs, mighty wild bulls that lived in the forest. They ran in large herds with strong horns and loud steps, living for centuries in their world, almost undisturbed by humans. Aurochs fed on grass and leaves, moved deep into the forests, remaining part of nature. People hunted them for their meat and horns.
And the Aurochs vanished from the face of the earth.
The Labrador duck, a small dark water bird with white spots on the wings, found along the coast of North America. It swam in bays in shallow waters, feeding on mollusks and small aquatic creatures, almost unnoticed by humans for centuries. But as people arrived, hunting for its meat and eggs, disturbing its habitats, in fishing too much in its home waters, its numbers declined rapidly. Later, the Labrador duck had vanished completely.
Even quiet water birds could not survive with humans around. Today, many animals are on the brink of extinction. Habitat loss and hunting, pollution and climate change, invasive species and disease threaten their survival. We can make a difference by protecting nature, safeguarding animals, and stopping more damage to their homes.